No one heard Ethan Vale scream when the airlock sealed. The alien ship pulled away in silence, its engines glowing blue as it vanished into the black. A single human remained behind, injured, betrayed, and written off as expendable. The aliens believed they had left a problem behind. They had no idea they had just created something far more dangerous. Ethan Vale opened his eyes to darkness. Pain pulsed through his skull, slow and heavy, like waves crashing inside his head. For a moment, he didn't know where he was. Then memory returned all at once. The mission, the alien crew, the sudden accusation, and the cold decision made without debate. Human engineer. Liability. Abandoned. He pushed himself up, coughing as stale air burned his lungs. The floor beneath him vibrated faintly, metal groaning like a dying animal. Whatever this place was, it wasn't stable. Ethan reached for his wrist console. Dead. No signal, figures, he muttered. The alien station around him was massive but broken. Emergency lights flickered weakly, casting long shadows across cracked walls and torn cables. The silence felt wrong, too deep, as if the station itself was holding its breath. Panic tried to rise. Ethan crushed it. He had survived worse than fear. He had survived collapsing mines, reactor leaks, and machines that wanted him dead just as much as this place did. He was an engineer. When systems failed, people called him. When things broke beyond reason, he rebuilt them. If the station still had power, he could live. If it didn't, he would make it. He found a fallen tool case nearby, cracked open from impact. Inside were alien tools, strange shapes, unfamiliar materials, but tools all the same. He clipped what he could to his belt and pulled himself to his feet. "All right," he whispered to the darkness. "Let's see what you've got." The station corridors twisted in confusing angles, built for bodies that were not human. Gravity fluctuated slightly, enough to make every step feel uncertain. Panels sparked overhead, and something deep inside the structure thumped at uneven intervals. A failing core, Ethan realized. He followed the vibration. After several turns, he reached a chamber where the air felt warmer. A towering machine stood in the center, layered with glowing rings and flowing energy lines. It was damaged, badly. Emergency power barely held it together. "That's your heart," Ethan said softly. He climbed onto the structure, ignoring the hum that made his teeth vibrate. Alien symbols covered the surface, but systems were systems. Power in. Power out. Control flow. Redundancy. Someone had sabotaged this station before abandoning it. Smart aliens. Careless ones. Ethan bypassed a ruptured conduit, rerouting energy through a secondary lattice. Sparks burned his glove, but the machine responded. The hum deepened. Lights across the chamber brightened. Then the station shook. A deep sound echoed through the corridor beyond the chamber. Low. Wet. Alive. Ethan froze. "That's new," he whispered. He killed his light and waited. The sound moved, slow, heavy steps scraping metal. Whatever lived here now wasn't part of the station's design. It had moved in after the aliens left. Ethan waited until the sound faded, then returned to work, faster now. He stabilized the core just enough to stop a cascade failure. Not perfect, but alive. The station breathed again. Lights flickered on in distant corridors. Systems reconnected. Somewhere far above, antenna arrays adjusted themselves. And somewhere far away, something noticed. Ethan moved on. He followed newly powered signs toward what he hoped was a control center. Along the way, he passed shattered habitation pods and signs of struggle. Claw marks. Burn scars. Blood that wasn't human. The aliens hadn't abandoned this place peacefully. At last, he reached a vast control hall. Broken holographic displays hovered like ghosts. He activated the central console, half expecting it to explode. Instead, it spoke. Biological signature identified. Human. Ethan blinked. "You speak English." "Limited compatibility achieved," the voice replied. "Designation, Station Intelligence Core." An AI. Of course there was an AI. Status report, Ethan said. Station at 18% operational capacity. Structural integrity failing in 7 sectors. External threats present. Ethan leaned back, rubbing his face. Yeah, I noticed. You are not authorized personnel, the AI continued. Why were you abandoned? Ethan's jaw tightened. Because I was convenient. Silence followed. Then the AI spoke again. Human logic pattern detected. High adaptability. High risk tolerance. That's one way to say it. If station systems are fully restored, the AI said, this installation would surpass original specifications. Ethan looked at the shattered hall, at the broken station everyone else had given up on. A slow smile formed. Then let's rebuild it better. The station trembled again. Closer this time. The AI warned, hostile life form approaching. Ethan grabbed a metal bar from the floor and turned toward the dark corridor. They had abandoned a human engineer in a dying station. They had made a mistake. And this was only the beginning. Ethan didn't run. He wanted to, every nerve in his body screamed for it, but he forced his feet to stay planted. The corridor ahead was a throat of darkness, and the sound coming from it was the sound of something big learning the shape of the station. The RE's voice came through the nearest speaker, calm and flat. Hostile entity closing distance. Estimated arrival, 40 seconds. Plenty of time, Ethan muttered, even though his heartbeat said otherwise. He scanned the control hall. Broken consoles. Shattered panels. A few hanging cables. Nothing that looked like a weapon, because the aliens didn't build their stations expecting to fight inside them. They built them expecting obedience. Humans didn't get that luxury. Ethan's eyes locked on a ceiling maintenance hatch. Its edges were cracked, half loose. He grabbed a loose cable bundle and yanked it, testing strength. The metal groaned but held. Station intelligence, he said quickly. Can you control the lights? Yes, the AI replied. Limited grid access restored. Then listen carefully, Ethan said. Kill the lights in this hall the moment that thing enters. Then flash them, fast. Like strobe. A pause. Purpose. Because predators rely on rhythm, Ethan said, jaw clenched. Break their rhythm. Make them hesitate. Understood, the AI said. Ethan climbed onto a broken console, using it as a platform. He wedged the metal bar between 2 supports above the doorway, then looped the cable bundle around it like a crude snare. If the creature charged through, it would either clothesline itself or get tangled long enough for Ethan to do something desperate. Desperate was still a plan. The growl returned, louder now. The sound wasn't just a throat noise, it was a vibration, something that made the floor tremble. Ethan's mouth went dry. Then the creature appeared. It stepped into the doorway slowly, almost cautiously, as if it didn't trust the new light. It was taller than a man, hunched but powerful, skin like plated charcoal. Long arms ended in curved claws that scraped the metal floor. Its eyes were red, but not like fire, like warning lights in a storm. It sniffed the air. Ethan held his breath. The creature's head turned, tracking a scent, moving with awful patience. It took one step into the hall. Now! Ethan barked. The lights went out. Total darkness, then a rapid strobe burst, flashing the hall in broken snapshots. The creature flinched hard, recoiling as if struck. Its claws slammed into the floor, its head twisting, confused by the sudden flood and loss of sight. That half-second was enough. Ethan jumped. He dropped from his perch and hit the creature with a metal bar across its forearm, not to hurt it, but to redirect it. The creature roared, and the cable snare snapped tight across its chest as it lurched forward. It stumbled. Ethan ran. He sprinted out of the control hall, the AI guiding him down a side corridor. The station's lights flickered wildly behind him, throwing shadows that seemed to chase. Door ahead, the AI said. Ceiling may delay pursuit. Do it, Ethan snapped. A heavy hatch slid down just as Ethan slipped through. Metal slammed into place with a deep, satisfying boom. On the other side, The creature hit the door like a living battering ram. The entire corridor shook. Ethan stumbled back, chest heaving. That door won't hold. Correct, the AI replied. Structural rating, low. Ethan looked around the narrow passageway. It led to a circular junction with 3 routes. One was marked with alien symbols pulsing faintly. Another was open, but filled with drifting steam. The third route slanted upward toward a darkened sector with no lights at all. The AI spoke again. The entity will breach within 90 seconds. Ethan swallowed hard. Then tell me where I need to go. Life support central, the AI said. It must be stabilized. Your oxygen supply is limited. Ethan forced himself forward, choosing the steam-filled corridor because at least the heat meant systems were still alive. He moved fast. The station around him felt like a giant waking up. Vents hissed. Panels blinked. Somewhere, huge fans started turning. It was ugly, broken, imperfect, but it was moving again. And Ethan could feel something else. Not just the creature. Something watching from deeper layers of the station, waiting to see what the human would do. He reached a chamber filled with vertical tanks, pipes, and rotating filter drums. The air smelled bitter and stale, like a room that hadn't breathed in years. This is the life support hub, the AI said. Primary filtration offline. Secondary scrubbers clogged. Oxygen generation at 12%. Ethan's eyes scanned the machinery. The design was alien, but the problem was familiar, a system choked by damage and neglect. He popped open a panel. Inside was a mess of crystalline circuits and fluid conduits. A coolant leak had turned part of the unit into hardened sludge. Ethan exhaled slowly. Okay. We do this the human way. He pulled out a multi-tool and began stripping parts. He didn't have replacement filters, so he cleaned them, scraping, rinsing with condensed water pulled from an emergency pipe, using heat from a nearby vent to dry them quickly. The work was filthy, and his hands shook with adrenaline. Then the AI spoke. Quieter now. Ethan Vale, why are you repairing this station? Ethan didn't look up. Because I don't want to die. That is survival, the AI said. But your actions exceed survival. You are improving systems, not merely restoring them. Ethan paused. The question hit harder than it should have. He remembered the aliens who had left him. Their cold eyes. Their perfect uniforms. The way they treated him like a tool they could drop when inconvenient. He tightened a conduit and said, because if I rebuild it better, they can't take it from me. Not again. Silence. Then the AI said, your logic is unusual, but effective. Ethan worked faster. He rewired power flow to reduce strain on the failing pumps. He rerouted oxygen output through a shorter path to avoid leaks in damaged corridors. He even found a way to make the station's emergency reserve tanks refill automatically. It wasn't just repair. It was evolution. A low alarm tone sounded. Warning, the AI said. Entity detected near life support sector. Ethan's head snapped up. Already. It learned, the AI replied. It is adapting. Ethan's mouth went dry. So we're both adapting. He shoved the last filter into place and slammed the panel shut. The machines hummed, then surged, and clean air poured from vents overhead. The chamber's lights brightened slightly. Oxygen generation now at 38%, the AI announced. Rising. Ethan smiled. Brief, exhausted, real. Then the chamber shook as something slammed into the outer hatch. A growl leaked through the metal like smoke. Ethan backed away, scanning for exits. There was a maintenance crawl space near the ceiling, narrow but usable. He grabbed a loose pipe and wedged it into the hatch locking mechanism, buying seconds. AI, he hissed. Do we have any station defense systems? Defenses are offline, it replied. Weapon arrays damaged. Internal security drones disabled. Ethan's eyes flicked to the rotating filter drums, the pressurized tanks, the oxygen lines. Then he looked up at the crawl space. A plan formed, dangerous, messy, human. Then we build defenses, he whispered. The hatch groaned under pressure. Ethan climbed fast, hauling himself into the crawlspace. Metal scraped his back as he pulled forward. He crawled through darkness, following the eye's directional pings. Behind him, the hatch burst open. A roar filled the chamber, thick and furious. The creature stepped inside, sniffing, scanning, searching for the human it hated. Ethan stayed still, heart pounding, and watched through a narrow grate. The creature's claws scraped the floor as it moved toward the life support machinery. Then it did something worse than attack. It lifted its head and howled, a long, vibrating sound that echoed through the station's corridors. The RE's voice turned tense for the first time. That was not aggression. Ethan's eyes widened. Then what was it? A signal, the AI said. It is calling others. Ethan swallowed hard, the air suddenly feeling too thin again despite the restored oxygen. How many? He whispered. I do not know, the AI replied. But the station's original inhabitants were not solitary. Ethan stared down at the creature, then out into the darkness beyond the chamber, imagining more red eyes waking up. He could have given up. He could have curled into a corner and waited for death. But that wasn't what humans did when trapped. Humans turned traps into tools. Ethan's hands clenched. All right, he said softly. Let them come. And in the darkness of the crawlspace, Ethan began planning not just how to survive, but how to make this station his. The station did not sleep. It watched. Sensors that had been blind for years now whispered data into the RE's core. Power flowed through pathways never meant to carry it this way. Systems spoke to each other again, confused but alive. And at the center of the chaos, a single human moved through the steel like he belonged there. Ethan crawled out of the maintenance shaft into a narrow service corridor. His muscles burned, his throat was dry, and his nerves felt stretched thin, but his mind was sharp. Fear was still there, but it had changed shape. It wasn't panic anymore. It was focus. The AI spoke quietly through wall speakers. Multiple hostile entities detected. At least 4. They are spreading through lower sectors. Ethan nodded, even though no one could see him. Predators don't rush, he said. They test. They probe. That gives us time. Your confidence is statistically unsupported, the AI replied. Ethan almost smiled. Welcome to humanity. He reached a junction where 3 corridors met. One led toward the habitat ring. One toward engineering storage. The third sloped downward into a dark sector marked with warning symbols. Where do the creatures avoid? Ethan asked. The AI paused longer than usual. Sector 9. Radiation exposure risk. Ethan's eyes lit up. Perfect. He changed direction immediately. Sector 9 had been partially sealed long ago, its shielding cracked during some forgotten disaster. The radiation levels weren't lethal, at least not to humans with limited exposure, but enough to make most biological creatures uncomfortable. Ethan slipped inside and sealed the hatch behind him. The lights flickered on slowly, revealing a massive chamber filled with heavy machinery. Old reactors. Gravity stabilizers. Structural anchors for the station itself. This was the skeleton. If I were building a station, Ethan murmured, this is where I'd hide the real power. You are correct, the AI said. This sector houses secondary command lines. They were never intended for routine access. Ethan moved fast. He rerouted power through thick conduits, reinforcing damaged supports with layered material scavenged from storage racks. He didn't just repair fractures, he overbuilt them. Added redundancies. Created manual overrides where the aliens had relied on automation alone. Human systems always assumed failure. Alien systems assumed obedience. That difference mattered. As Ethan worked, he could feel the station respond. Vibrations evened out. The hum of machinery became smoother, more stable. The air felt less stale. You are modifying core behavior, the AI said. This was not in the original design. Ethan wiped sweat from his brow. Original design got abandoned, he replied. I'm improving it. A distant howl echoed through the station, closer than before. "They're learning the layout," Ethan said. "We need eyes." "There are dormant surveillance drones," the AI replied. However, they were not designed for independent decision-making. Ethan looked up sharply. "Then give them one." He accessed a drone control hub and rewired it manually, bypassing restriction protocols. It wasn't elegant, but it worked. A dozen small drones lifted from charging racks, their lenses flickering to life. Through cracked monitors, Ethan saw the station from above. Creatures moved in packs now, coordinated, smart. They avoided bright areas and tested doors before forcing them. One of them paused, lifting its head, as if sensing something new. "The human." "They're hunting me," Ethan said softly. "Yes," the AI replied. "They are adapting faster than projected." Ethan leaned closer to the screen. "So we adapt faster." He rerouted the station's environmental controls, creating pressure differences between sectors. Doors that opened easily for him would slam shut behind him. Corridors became funnels. Dead ends became traps. The station was no longer neutral ground. It was a maze designed by a human mind. The first creature entered Sector 9 cautiously, its claws clicking on the metal floor. Radiation alarms spiked briefly, then faded. Ethan watched from behind reinforced glass. The creature slowed. Its movements became erratic. It growled, confused, irritated. Ethan triggered a localized gravity pulse. The floor slammed downward. The creature crashed into the deck with bone-cracking force, stunned but not dead. Ethan didn't waste time watching. He sealed the sector and moved on. "You could have killed it," the AI said. Ethan shook his head. "Killing is loud. Teaching is quieter." He moved toward the communications array next. If the aliens had left him here, they would assume the station was lost. Broken. Dangerous. Not worth returning to. That assumption would cost them. Ethan climbed into the comms tower and began aligning the long-range antenna manually. He boosted output using energy storage units meant only for emergencies. "This transmission will be detectable," the AI warned. "It may attract hostile attention." Ethan nodded. "That's the point." He didn't send a distress call. He sent a handshake signal. A clean, stable broadcast that said one thing clearly. The station is alive. Somewhere far away, alien sensors would light up in confusion. A dead station was not supposed to answer. As the signal pulsed outward, the creatures reacted violently. Howls echoed through the metal halls. Packs shifted direction, converging toward the comms tower. "They know," Ethan said calmly. "Yes," the AI replied. "They are accelerating." Ethan sealed the final panel and turned away from the tower. His body ached, his hands were bleeding, but his mind felt clear. He wasn't trapped anymore. He was in control. He moved into the upper levels, luring the creatures upward while the station reshaped itself around him. Doors closed. Floors shifted. Lights guided and misled. One creature lunged from the shadows, faster than the others. Ethan barely dodged, slamming a panel shut between them. Claws punched through metal, missing his head by inches. Ethan fell backward, gasping. "That was close," he muttered. "Correction," the AI said. "That was survival by 0.7 seconds." Ethan laughed, short, breathless, human. "I'll take it." He rolled to his feet and sprinted down a ramp toward the central hub. Behind him, the station roared. Not in pain. In purpose. For the first time since it had been abandoned, the station was no longer a place of decay. It was becoming something else. Something shaped by human hands. Something the galaxy had never planned for. And far beyond the station's hull, alien sensors began to converge on a signal they could not explain. A signal that said the abandoned human engineer was not only alive. He was building. The first alien ship arrived 3 hours later. It did not approach like a rescue vessel. It came slow and careful, weapons charged, sensors wide open. Its crew expected silence, decay, maybe hostile life forms roaming the ruins. They did not expect order. Inside the station, Ethan felt the change before the AI spoke. Power levels surged as external sensors synced. Docking clamps unlocked themselves automatically, responding to codes that should have been dead. External contact detected, the AI said. Alien vessel. Designation: former station authority. Ethan stood in the central hub, leaning on a console, chest rising and falling. He was exhausted. His hands shook from adrenaline and lack of sleep. But his eyes were steady. "Do they see us?" he asked. "Yes," the AI replied. "They see a station operating at 71% efficiency. This exceeds original performance metrics." Ethan let out a slow breath. "Good." On the main display, the alien ship hovered near the station like a nervous animal. Data streamed in: confusion, recalculations, elevated threat responses. Then a transmission request appeared. Ethan stared at it. "They left me here," he said quietly. "They don't get to talk first." The AI hesitated. Ignoring communication may escalate conflict. Ethan nodded. "So we're answering it. But this way, I choose when." He turned instead to the internal feeds. The creatures were still moving through the station, but slower now. The environmental changes, the radiation pockets, the shifting gravity, they had learned to fear the corridors. Packs avoided certain routes entirely. The station wasn't just alive. It was hostile, to anyone who didn't understand it. A second ship dropped out of faster-than-light space moments later. Then a third. Ethan's jaw tightened. They brought friends. "Yes," the AI said. "Multiple factions. Salvage guilds. Security contractors. Military observers." Ethan laughed under his breath. Of course they did. The galaxy smelled opportunity. A dead station was loot. A living one was a prize. The first docking attempt began without permission. Ethan felt it through the floor as clamps tried to force connection. "AI," he said calmly, "lock down all docks except Bay 7. "Bay 7 is damaged," the AI replied. "I know," Ethan said. "That's why I fixed it." The station shifted. Massive internal doors sealed. Power rerouted. One docking bay, newly reinforced, freshly optimized, opened like an invitation. The alien ship latched on. Ethan walked to the observation deck above Bay 7 and waited. The airlock cycled. A group of aliens stepped through, tall, armored, carrying energy weapons. Their body language was tense, aggressive. They expected resistance. They did not expect a single human standing calmly in the open. "Identify yourself," the lead alien demanded, translator crackling. Ethan folded his arms. "You already know who I am." Murmurs rippled through the group. "You were declared lost," the alien said. "This station was abandoned due to contamination." Ethan smiled, thin and sharp. "Funny how it stopped being contaminated when I turned the lights back on." The alien leader's eyes flicked to the displays behind Ethan. Stable power, clean air, system readouts better than before abandonment. "This installation belongs to—" "It belongs to whoever keeps it alive," Ethan interrupted. His voice was steady, but it carried. "You left it. You left me. That means you forfeited control." Weapons shifted. Tension spiked. The Ari's voice echoed softly through the bay. Advisory, hostile intent rising. Ethan didn't move. "You came back because you saw the signal," he continued. "Because you thought you could take it. But here's the thing, you don't understand this station anymore." He tapped a control on his wrist console. The floor beneath the aliens shifted, just a few centimeters. Not enough to hurt. Enough to remind. "This station listens to me now," Ethan said. "Every door. Every vent. Every gravity plate." The aliens stiffened. Outside, more ships moved closer, weapons warming. "You are one human," the leader said coldly. "You cannot hold this installation." Ethan met its gaze. "I don't have to. I just have to make it too expensive." The station lights dimmed briefly, then flared. Across the hull, weapon arrays rotated into alignment. Not alien-made. Human-modified. Repurposed. Smarter. Internal feeds showed the creatures retreating deeper into sealed zones, driven by controlled pressure shifts. Defensive posture engaged, the AI announced. Projected success probability increasing. The alien leader hesitated. That hesitation changed everything. Because in the galaxy, hesitation meant weakness. Ethan leaned forward slightly. Here's how this goes. You leave. You mark this station as active, defended, and human-operated. You don't come back unless invited. And if we refuse? The alien asked. Ethan shrugged. Then the station becomes a problem. One that adapts. One that learns. One that doesn't forget who tried to take it. Silence filled the bay. Outside, ships adjusted their formation, less aggressive now, more cautious. The alien leader lowered its weapon. This matter will be reported, it said. Ethan nodded. Good. Make sure you get the details right. The aliens withdrew. The airlock sealed behind them. Ethan exhaled for what felt like the first time in days. His knees almost gave out, but he stayed standing. They'll be back, he said quietly. Yes, the AI replied. But not immediately. Ethan looked around the vast, humming station. Systems stable. Power strong. Life support clean. He had done more than survive. He had claimed something. Far from Earth, on a station meant to be forgotten, a human engineer had drawn a line the galaxy did not expect. And the galaxy had listened. But it would not stay quiet for long. The galaxy did not forget the station. It couldn't. News traveled fast through trade lanes and data relays, faster than ships, faster than weapons. An abandoned alien installation had come back online. Not just functional. Improved. Smarter. Dangerous in a way no standard military model predicted. And at the center of it all was one human. Ethan Vale stood alone in the observation ring, staring out into the stars. The reflection in the glass barely looked like him anymore. His face was thinner. His eyes sharper. His hands, scarred, burned, steady. Below him, the station worked. Not blindly. Not automatically. Intentionally. External activity increasing, the AI reported. Multiple factions observing from extreme range. No immediate hostile action. Ethan nodded. They are scared. Yes, the AI replied. You have disrupted established expectations. Ethan almost smiled. Humans had been doing that since the moment they reached the stars. He turned from the window and walked through the core corridor. Lights followed him now, brightening where he stepped, dimming behind him to save power. Doors opened before he reached them. Systems adjusted without command. The station had learned him. And he had learned it. The hostile creatures still lived in sealed lower sectors, but they no longer roamed freely. Ethan had turned their hunting grounds into pressure traps, radiation pockets, and dead zones. They were contained, not exterminated. They still fear the station, the AI noted. They should, Ethan said. Fear keeps things predictable. A soft alert chimed. New transmission, the AI continued. Encrypted. Human origin. Ethan stopped walking. Put it through. The voice that filled the corridor was tired. Emotional. Familiar in a way he hadn't expected. Ethan Vale, if you're hearing this, then you did it. You stubborn idiot. Earth Command lost your signal months ago. We thought you were dead. Ethan closed his eyes. The message continued. We traced an impossible station handshake signal. Human-modified protocols. No alien system does that. Only us. Ethan, if you're alive, respond. For a long moment, he said nothing. Then he spoke quietly. I'm here. The reply came almost instantly, raw with disbelief. Ethan? How? What did you? Ethan cut the channel gently. Not yet. He wasn't done. He returned to the central command platform and activated a wide-spectrum broadcast. Not a weapon. Not a threat. A statement. This station is under human protection, Ethan said, his voice calm but carrying across space. It is not abandoned. It is not for sale. Any attempt to seize it will be met with resistance that adapts faster than you do. Across the stars, ships listened. Humans are not conquerors, he continued. But we do not surrender what we build. This station exists because you left it behind. It survives because I stayed. The AI watched silently as the message spread. This declaration will change political calculations, it said. Ethan nodded. That's the idea. Hours passed. Then days. No ships attacked. Some left. Others stayed at a distance, studying, reassessing. The station became a fixed point in the chaos of space, a place no one fully understood. Earth finally arrived a week later. A single human ship approached slowly, broadcasting peaceful intent. Ethan stood in Bay 7 as the airlock cycled, watching a group of human officers step inside. They stopped when they saw the station. Not the wreck they expected, but a fortress of light and motion, alive with purpose. One officer finally spoke. You rebuilt an alien station, alone. Ethan shook his head. Not alone. The RE's voice echoed gently through the bay. Correction. Human engineer Ethan Vale initiated reconstruction. I adapted. The humans stared. This station is operational at 93%, the AI continued. Performance exceeds original specifications by 42%. Silence followed. Then someone laughed, quiet, disbelieving. Ethan felt something loosen in his chest. Not relief. Not exhaustion. Pride. Earth Command wanted to evacuate him. To take control. To claim jurisdiction. Ethan refused. This place isn't just a station, he said. It's proof. You abandon humans. We don't disappear. We adapt. We build. We make ourselves impossible to ignore. Negotiations followed. Long ones. In the end, the station became something new. A human-led outpost. A neutral ground. A warning and a promise at the same time. Aliens came to study it. Some came to trade. Some came to learn how a single human engineer had turned betrayal into leverage. And far across the galaxy, stories spread. About the station that wouldn't die. About the systems that listened to a human voice. About how abandoning one engineer had cost an entire civilization its certainty. Ethan Vale returned to the observation ring one last time before Earth's ship departed. The stars looked different now. Not distant. Reachable. You changed everything, the AI said. Ethan shook his head slowly. No. I just fixed what was broken. The station hummed around him, steady and strong. And the galaxy finally understood a truth it had ignored for too long. When you abandon humanity, we don't fade away. We rebuild. And what we build shocks the stars.